Hey guys, McJeffries here, and welcome back to the McJeffries Network on OpenTTD. And I had to start the episode when there was an autosave, didn't I? Anyway, welcome back. This is a live audio recording. Not like last time. That really was a disaster last time. Plenty of room on my hard drive today, so we shouldn't have a repeat of that incident. Before we get properly cracking, first of all, this is what Plaything Field looks like now. I think it looks fantastic. There are a couple of tweaks I would make to it. I would extend the cover a little bit further down, but the actual station itself looks really cool. You got the 6 terminus platforms on the south side, the 6 on the north side, and then the 6 through platforms, which I'll go through in more detail in a second. Response to comments is how I start off most episodes these days. Someone, King, I think it was. Let's get the old phone out and check. There's a couple of queries I have to make to do with comments as well. So King commented on yesterday's episode saying 8-car long Electra stars, which is very rare. Normally they are 4 or 5 long, I believe. But if you actually look very carefully, here's one here. You can see there's like a divide after the 4th car. So I've kind of got it in my head that these are 2 4-car half units. That have been combined into a single 8-car unit. So normally you would have another control car, which is what these are, that would go here, but they took that off and they took one off another car, another unit, and then just combined them together to create the 8-car unit. That's my little backstory. You'll also notice that the depot itself and the factory site is growing considerably. Got all new storage tracks on the east side here, all new storage tracks on the east side here. This has also become double track. The depots themselves are still here, but I'm considering moving them or sort of making them a little bit more accessible. I haven't 100% decided on that yet. Peter Evans commented on Friday's episode. Yeah, episode 92. Pick a random station and look for a passenger who wants to go somewhere far away, but not a direct connection. Follow their journey through various cities to their destination. And then it says in brackets, I know you can't follow an individual passenger, but just a fun way to highlight the cargo disc interaction with a complex network. That's actually a really good idea for episode 100. I don't know whether you were mentioning that as an idea for episode 100, but it's definitely one to consider. So the idea would be, say here we've got 6,537 passengers. And let's choose a station that's a fair distance from here. Dartbourne is a long way from here. Dartbourne South. So let's say there's 41 passengers who want to go to Dartbourne South. We'll then pretend that the next express train that comes through, this goes to GSG. Oh look, there's an express train that goes towards Guard City. What the hell are you doing here? Well, you've taken a wrong turn. Oh, I know where you're going. Yes, you're going to Cunningwell. Fair enough. So this train here goes to Guard City. So the story would then be those 41 passengers get on board this train. Will follow this train to Guard City St George. Once they get to Guard City, they'll get off and get on the metro to Guard City St John. And then they'll get on a diesel train to Dartbourne. And then they'll get on a tram, I think it is, that goes to Dartbourne South. That kind of idea. That's a really, really cool idea. It is a shame that you can't follow individual people like I used to do in Cities in Motion, and indeed you can do it on City Skylines as well. But you can certainly simulate it, so that's a very good idea, and one that I will definitely be thinking of doing for episode 100. James Moton has said about rivers, and I really don't get what you mean by that, because I mean I very briefly mentioned in the video about making a river, but I never said anything about widths or sources or mouths or anything like that, so I really don't know where that's come from. So you might have to explain that one to me a little bit more. Why is this train just sat here waiting? Something's not right with this. I think... Well, this one's going up to the turning point up here. I think it's because this train is waiting to go through Plaything Field. So I might put another couple of junctions in. Try and aid that process a little bit more. very complicated here. We end up with loads of trains blocking each other's ways, which is not good. Not good at all. There's lots of trains waiting here as well. It's not ideal. There's something not quite right with this though, so let me check that quickly. And then I'll carry on going through comments again. So what is... Yeah, you're running very late. I'm going to auto-fill this timetable again. See if that'll fix it. Right. Next. Actually, I don't really want to do that. Oh, it's doing it now. Next, we go to James again. And again, there's something about these comments that are just really confusing me. This one makes more sense, but it's... you remember a few episodes ago I talked about tone in certain comments, and this is one of the examples, I feel. I'd like to make it clear now. I am not tech support for this game. You know, I have no involvement in the creation of this game whatsoever. I am a consumer, I am a customer, a client, whatever you want to call it. I am a gamer and a player. A player of computer games, that is. So, I'm not tech support. I don't know how to help people most of the time. So it irritates me slightly when people just assume I know the answers and come across as really demanding. And I know that there's the cultural divide. People don't necessarily say please and thank you in their language. That's not the issue. That is not the issue at all. The issue is, I guess it's like mutual respect. That's what really irritates me. So this comment is, what's the original map size and the current map size, and what's the base OpenTTD version used in the Lieutenant Joker patch? So the first bit I can answer quite simply. I can't remember the map size, which is very bad of me. I should be able to remember it. I believe it's the second largest in both directions. So what's that? It's 2024, I think. I think 448 is 4048 is the biggest. It's the second biggest in both directions, I believe. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. The original map size was smaller than that. It was the next one down, which is why I wanted to go for a bigger map this time. That bit's fine. It's the second bit. What's the base OpenTTD version used in the Lieutenant Joker patch? I don't know whether it's just people being lazy or people assuming that I am tech support, but everything that I use in this game, including my PC specs, are in the description below. So before you even consider asking me a question about what what NewGRFs I use or what my PC specs are or anything like that, read the description. It's not that long. I know it can be a bit tedious at times, but it's worth it, trust me. Because then it means you're not asking questions that irritate me or that may or may not have already been answered. I am one of these people, unfortunately, where if I get irritated, I become very reluctant to help. So it's one of those scenarios where just read the description very, very carefully before you ask a question, to save us all time and energy. So to answer the question, the base OpenTTD version is version 1.14.1 or 1.14.1, but the description clearly states where the download is. You go onto Lieutenant Joker's video, and then he tells you what to do with the download. That's how I downloaded the game. That's how I expect everyone else to download the game. I can't do it for you. That's not fair on me. So now that's out of the way, Baptiste is not correcting me, congratulating me almost on my French, and then going on to say about signalling equipment. It's this ongoing conversation about whether trains drive on the left or the right in Europe. And you're totally right. It's all to do with signalling. High Speed 1 in Britain has the ERTS, I think it is, or ETRS, signalling system, where there are no line-side signals. It's all in-cab signalling. There are signs beside the line. You might have seen it. It's like a blue background with a yellow and blue triangle, I think is the symbol. That is the location of the signal points, but it's not actually a line-side signal. It's all done in cab. But that line is done for bi-directional. Is done. let's try and use my word, shall we? That line was designed and built for bidirectional running. So two trains can actually run side by side in the same direction, and there's a very well-known picture of that exact thing being tested with a javelin being passed by a Eurostar. And what they were actually testing there was, could the overhead line equipment actually cope with two trains passing through a single part of the track at speed? And it seems like yes, that is in fact possible, which is cool. It means everything's working. But signalling is the problem, and there are lines now that are being updated to run as automated train operation, ATO, in which case they will be done for bidirectional running as well, I imagine. Or it's easier when you're re-signaling a system to actually swap sides. But I totally get your point that it is all down to signaling. Sometimes you don't want to break the status quo, especially when it involves having to re-signal the entire line. That is counterproductive. Here's the new exit to Playfieldfield North, by the way. We are going to be doing some building in a second. I'm not just going to sit here and talk all day. In fact, we should probably start doing some building now, just for the sake of it. Well, let's do some planning now, whilst I go through the rest of these comments. So, my phone keeps going in standby. That's not supposed to happen. Baptiste also wants planes for episode 100, and I really don't want to let him down, but I can't promise that that's going to happen. Not for episode 100 exactly, but maybe after. I don't want to make promises though, that's the thing, because planes are going to be one of the hardest things to do on this game now. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. If it was possible, I'd love to do planes right this second in this very episode, but I want to get it right. You know, I want to build a big airport around Guard City and actually have it running properly. And I just don't feel like I'd be able to do a good job of that right this second, or you know, within the next few episodes. I tend to plan my main lines out very, very carefully before I then go through with this plan list, even just so that there's a good idea as to what each one's going to look like. And I kind of want to do the same with airports as well, because I imagine that you guys want me. I can't speak today. I'm pretty sure you guys want me to get it as right as possible first time, which is totally understandable. I'm not criticising that at all. I think it's totally understandable that that's the case. So that's why I carefully plan things out. I don't want to end up in a situation like the last map where things were sort of spinning wildly out of control because we were trying to expand too much too soon. I don't particularly want that. So it's a careful planning process. But it will happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying it will happen. It will take a little bit of time. But it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. I hope. I really, really hope that you guys find it worth the wait. Otherwise, oh boy. Anyway. Other comments. There was a conversation that Baptiste also got involved with about Thales. Thales is actually a group operating on the Paris-Brussels line mainly. Yes and no. Thales is not a group. It's one of these things with European rail companies, is a lot of them SNCF and DB. For those of you who don't know what they are, SNCF is the French National Railways. I really wish I could remember what SNCF stands for right now. DB is Deutsche Bahn, sorry, not Dutch Bahn, Deutsche Bahn, and that's the German National Railways. So the ICEs, the Intercity Express, Regional Express, they are all run, controlled, operated by DB. And they also own a lot of companies around Europe. So I think Abellio in Britain is owned by DB. I think so. They do have DB Schenker, which is a freight company. That's obviously DB. And they operate in Britain. There's a couple of others that DB are involved with, I'm sure. I just can't remember what they are off the top of my head. But as Baptiste pointed out, Thales is not a group. It is a company. You know, it's owned by, what was it you said? 60% SNCF and 40% SNCB, which is the Belgian railway. Belgian state railways. And then he also went on to say that they operate through the Netherlands and also Germany, using the correct city names as well, which is always impressive, by the way. So it's not Cologne. We call it Cologne in Britain, but they call it Köln in Germany. And again, my pronunciation is atrocious. But that's a little bit of European rail trivia for you, courtesy of Baptiste Wilbo. It's a fountain of knowledge, Baptiste. Very, very, very knowledgeable. It's also one of these examples of don't try and correct me on something if you haven't quite done your homework properly, because it very much looks like Baptiste will jump on you if you get something wrong. And I'm a victim of that too, don't worry. It's good though. It's good. James Moton, again, this is something I want to point out. If I reply to a comment and it comes up 2 or 3 times, I'm not sitting there typing the same comment 2 or 3 times. It is my app. I reply to all comments on my phone, because I tend to be out of the house when the videos go live. So when the comments start coming through, I'm not actually at home. I'm using my phone. As you know, Mondays is quiz night, family quiz night. So I'm not using my phone during the quiz, but between rounds when I can, I'll get my phone out then and reply to comments. So it's the app that's duplicating comments. So it's one of those ones where there's absolutely no point in telling me that it's duplicated, because by that point I've already noticed, and there's not really anything I can do to stop it from happening. So it's just one of those ones where it's a very pedantic thing to pick up on. You know, it's not worth mentioning, if that makes sense. I don't want to complain, and I certainly don't want to single out individuals, because it's not just one person. It's a lot of people that have brought it up in the past. That just happened to be the most recent one. So I'm not picking on you, James. I'm just saying because you were the latest person to... Just drop my bottle. The latest person to point that out. It's not me, it's the app. So it's not something that needs to be mentioned all the time. Hopefully you understand that. If I could change it, I would, believe me. But I'm unable to right now. Every now and then my app just misbehaves. Also, BNSF wants me to implement the Heritage Railway in episode 100. That is something that I really, really, really keep meaning to do. And even today I could have done it, but I forgot. Is that the right phrase, really? I suppose I do. I forget a lot about it. Like, I get reminded of it and I think, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have done that. And then by the next episode it sort of slipped my mind again. I guess it's also one of these things, it's like the airport. I want it to be right when I actually do it. I want it to be as good as it could be. So I've done some off-camera surveying in the past. And I do still think the original idea of having the Heritage Line run from Farborn, it might not run to the same place as it was originally discussed, and I can't remember. It began with F, but I can't remember the name of it right now. I might kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because I think it's George de Silva wanted me to build a little branch line between I can't remember the name of that station either, the terminus station where the diesels are, and Great Gronfingberg. Gronfingley. I think it might have been Gronfingley. Again, I really need to learn the names of my towns. There are a lot of them though, guys. Bear with me on that one. There are a lot of them. Can I tell you how many towns there are? Does it say on here how many there are? It doesn't. But there's a lot. There is a lot. I should sort by population, really. See what's the biggest. Fort Betston. Is that even on my network? I don't know. Dartbourne's fairly high. St John's fairly high. Really? Oh, I know why. Yeah. St John is what used to be Guard City. That's why. The fact that Dartbourne's on there is quite good, because it only has 1 rail station and a single tram line. Fort Hampton. 40,000 people now live in Fort Hampton. Farborn, which is where the Heritage Line's going to run. But that branch line might end up being the Heritage Line, because I can run sort of old style diesel trains on that line as well as steam trains. It will do the link, which was what it was meant for. It will link up the 2 main lines together, and it'll just be unique, really. I don't see many people on YouTube creating heritage lines on OpenTTD. So it's something that's... I mean, I wouldn't say anything that I do is a first. That's very big-headed. But, you know, it will certainly be a unique way of doing it. Right, apologies there guys for what is most likely going to be a very obvious cut. I just got called away for a second, so I had to go deal with whatever it was that was wanted. But I'm back now. So, was I in the middle of a conversation? I probably was, but I can't remember what it was about. So, I'm just going to carry on reviewing comments. George De Silva, the tram power you're talking about might be called conduit electric, which is very historic and was used in London until 1952 because of the trolleybus wires. I know what you're referring to, and I'm not sure if we're talking about the same systems. I do know about that, and I mean, even back then, wiring was a bit of a problem. So in some cases, they did just use ground power, which is good. It's a good, reliable system, I suppose, if it can be perfected. The one I'm talking about, though, is... it probably is a descendant of that system, but it's been designed specifically so that no power passes through the rail unless a vehicle is directly over it. And when I say directly over it, I literally mean like a foot either side of the conducting shoe, which is right in the middle of the vehicle. So whilst there's no vehicle there, no power runs through the rails at all. And I'm sure it's somewhere beginning with M in France that this technology was tested and is indeed used. And I'm sure it's either Marseille or Montpellier. I'm sure of it. I just can't remember which one. How long's this line, by the way? I designed these lines not quite realising just how long they are. So I'm going to have this problem all over the place. But this is... Playthingfield is kind of like our northern hub at the moment. I'm going to do a second line this way, up to another station, maybe up here at Little Huntingford, or maybe over here at Flonningley. I haven't decided yet, but I like the idea of having a big tunnel going through this, what is essentially a mountain here. It's not a hill at all. Just get rid of that forest, I think that is. Again, I'm removing a lot of industries and people want me to put freight in soon. It's coming. It's like with everything else. I want to make sure that it's done properly. It's almost my get out clause. I don't say it because I'm trying to put it off. I'm saying it because I actually want it to be done properly the first time, because then I don't want to have to come back and fix it. That's the bit that I'll be putting off. The actual building of it, I'm very much looking forward to getting around to the freight. I think it'll be really cool. And as you know, from GSP/MI, we already have freight platforms in place for goods and mail. So it's just a question of getting the rest of it in. Right, this is going to be the site of the tunnel, I would say. It's not as big a tunnel as I thought it would be, actually. I'm a little bit disappointed. But, you know, still a pretty decent length tunnel. And we'll come down the hill here. Like so. And I think we're going to turn this way and go to Flonningley and then Hintford. So I have two stations relatively close together. So let's do that. Although I do need to get rid of this as well. Another industry gone that will no doubt be rebuilt one day. Freight connections. I do plan on putting freight connections in some of these smaller towns as well and have smaller... I have a new idea for how to do freight. And I very much want to test it out, which is another reason why I'm looking forward to doing freight. Because you know, in the past we had train picks up goods from wherever, factory or coal mine or wherever it might be, heads to central location, unloads, heads back to load up again. This time I want to do train fills up at, let's say coal mine is a good example. Train then heads to central location, drops off some goods, picks up more, and then heads off to, in this case, let's say power station or steel mill. So it will actually run relatively full for almost the entirety of its journey, and then from wherever it unloads, it will then run empty back to the coal mine. That is probably going to be the way to do it now. I think that will work out better. But we'll see. Time will tell. Right, let's pop Not that. Let's put some benches in first. Then we'll pop a station name. So this is right up on the north coast, this station, which is quite unique. We don't hit many coastlines often in this game, so it's worth noting when you do find one. As you can see, not much here. Plus, we've got loads of oil fields here. So if we set up an oil service, having a dock station here for collecting oil would be a very good idea indeed. But more on that in a future episode. As I've said all along, it's about getting the infrastructure in place first. Getting all the track in place first, so we're not building massive spur lines heading off in all directions. We're actually doing it properly and trying to get a good system running. That's what makes this good now. It's no good just faffing around trying to build all these new lines. You want to make sure you get it right. It gives us a very good opportunity to if the infrastructure is already in place. Whoa, that's way too zoomed in. Right, building the stations, again we're using the Dutch style, and I apologise, they're just so easy to use. I know people want variety, and I've put variety on my metro lines, and I plan on increasing the variety on my metro lines. It's just when you're doing these ones and you want to get a line built quickly so you can get trains running, it's very nice to just be able to use the Dutch style and just throw them in. I mean, I've been to the Netherlands, and I must be honest, I never really picked up on what the Dutch style of a platform actually is. I mean, there is obviously a distinct style. I just never realised it was only sort of exclusive to the Netherlands. It feels very European for me. But it says here, Dutch edition. Unless it was just made by someone who is biased, shall we say, towards Netherlands. I don't know. I thought German, Swiss, Austrian and Dutch, I thought their station designs were very similar, but apparently not so. And I've probably offended loads of people by even suggesting such a thing. I apologise if that's the case. But that's one line done. And then somewhere just north of Treewood, we'll branch off and start building another line. Of course, because I've stopped recording and started recording again, I've absolutely no idea how long this episode is now. So we'll have to revisit that at some point. So it looks like we're just going to have a simple shuttle service between Playfingfield and Hintford. As you saw from last episode, there is a limit to the number of orders you can have, which I was not aware of. That makes things a little bit difficult for planning future lines. So, not 100% sure how to get around that. But what I do know is, actually, we have some unused trains somewhere, don't we? Let's go down to withdrawn electric. Yeah, these ones. These old trains that aren't really being used for anything. How long are these? Are they 3 units? They are. Alright, so let's drag you down, 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 and drag you down. Like so. Create a new group. ASE. Playfingfield to Hintford. You are 4 units long, aren't you? Although that might change in the future, but for now, you're 4 units long. Okay. Let's pin you for a second. Where is that group? That group is there. So let's grab these and drag them all in. And 3. Go to ungrouped. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now this is what I was doing last time out, but you probably didn't see that because of the way I time-lapsed it. I do go quite fast in the time-lapses, even when I say I don't mean to. It's just easier. It's just easier. Right. So, you're going to go via plaything field through east. You're then going to go through, let's do 4. That should be enough. That one, and that one, you're all going to be far end. And I'll pop another one at the end like this. That one, you're also going to go via that. This one, you're going to go via terminus north, terminus north, terminus, whoop, not that one, terminus north. Okay. We should have enough room in the schedule to be able to do this. So, Lardingham, 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 and Lardingham. Yep. I'm going to drag this all the way down. I'm going to pin it. So there's not much scrolling needs to be done. I'll rename these stations in a second as well. Not going to do it right now. Right, something else that's going to happen after episode 100. I'm a little bit reliant on ReadyRead for this, but it was his idea, and he said he'll try and get it done. So don't worry too much if you don't get it done. I'll find a stopgap. But you'll notice that the thumbnail for this series changed after episode 52, which is when we started this new map. Now, it was always in my mind that if someone was to make a map for me, I would like to use it as a thumbnail. And that's exactly the idea that ReadyRead had. So after episode 100, the thumbnail of the series should change to the Guard City map, which I'm really excited about. It will be constantly updated as well whenever ReadyRead is able to do it for me. But I'm really excited about having that set up, because what's the point in having someone put all that time and effort into making a map if only I'm the one who's going to see it? I want you guys to be able to see it as well, because it is an awesome map. So I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on that and actually putting it as the thumbnail. I don't think I'll tweak it too much like I've done with ones in the past. I don't think it needs that much work doing to it, to be honest. It's pretty much done. It's way more professional than I could have made it, so I'm glad someone did it on my behalf, because I would have made an absolute hash of it, believe me. So I'm really, yeah, as I say, I'm really looking forward to actually getting that in place. I think it'll make the whole thing look even more professional again. Right, we are pretty much done with this main body of scheduling. Now, this isn't really scheduling, is it? This is just coming up with destinations. I'm forgetting my words as I'm saying them. How good am I? So, Hintford, where is it there? It's the current end of the line. And probably will be the absolute end of the line on this particular branch. This will be the Hintford branch. These are kind of branch lines. I know they haven't got like single track or anything like that, but they are technically branch lines. So hopefully you guys don't mind me doing that. We're then going to make you go to the turn back south. We're then going to make you go to the train factory. We're then going to make you go to the depot, where you'll be serviced. Back to the train factory. Back to the turn back. The turn back and the factory are really... I mean, it shouldn't be called factory, really. It should be called storage. But I've called it factory. They're just there as ways of turning the train a little bit easier, or ways of making the train change direction, I should say, because there's no real turning involved. Right, so that's the schedule pretty much done, give or take. I think that is actually done. So the next thing to do is to come through here and set all these up. So all of you are going to be 250, with the exceptions of this one, which is going to be 25, and the train factories, which are both going to be 1,250. There is a lot of downtime on these trains, but I've seen how long it can take sometimes for them to get into the depot itself, which is why I've tried to make the access a little bit easier, because it makes a massive difference, believe me. It makes a massive difference. You know, I end up with a train that's 7,000 ticks late because it's taken so long to actually get into the depot. I keep calling it the depot. It's the factory, really, isn't it? Takes a long time, though. Wow. Maximum speed limit of 154 miles per hour. To be honest, I think that's quite manageable. Right, so that's all that done. We're going to set you to autofill. We are then going to grab each train individually. So each one of these. This bit's the fairly simple bit, I suppose. You do Control G, Control, then you just select 116. It does the whole thing for you, including the timetabling, which is fantastic. 119, yep. Hold Control, click on the train. There you go. Because these are all coming from the same spot, they're actually coming from Huntingwell. So they have to go all the way back to St George, all the way along that little line that we have that connects the two lines at St George, and then all the way back up through Fort Hampton to come out over here. That's the route I would take. I'm not 100% sure what route these trains will take yet. It very much depends on how the line is shaping up at Huntingwell. There are a lot of places on the map that we need to go back to and revisit, because it's been a long time. The third rail network, the diesel network, definitely we need to revisit, because it's been a long time since we did anything non-electrified. So I'd say, actually, the rest of this week, I would quite like to go back down there, but I don't want to make any promises, because it is all... I'm in a massive mindset at the moment that once I start a project, I want to finish it. And unfortunately that means that the projects that I've started very recently are the ones that I want to finish, because they were the ones I'd started when I got that mindset. But I do want to go and finish off the non-electrified section as well, because that's the big part of the map. That was the first part of the map that we did, so it makes sense to go back and finish that one off. I do need that open still. Right, so this is Flonston Train Depot. This is the new train. I'm going to head over there now and actually view all of these coming out of the depot, so bear with me 1 second. Control and click, and we are now over at Huntingwell, which is very quiet compared to Parthingfield. Parthingfield? I'm just not even going to bother remembering the names now. What's the point? I'm always going to forget them. Playthingfield. It's nowhere near as busy as Playthingfield. But let me just check quickly. How long was the first one? 20 minutes, and this one has been 17. So that's about right, actually, for ending this episode. So I'm going to watch this train go and do its thing. I might build, now this is something that's going to be controversial, I might build the other 3 branch lines off camera, just so that they're done. And when we come back tomorrow, we can actually start looking at the diesel network again, because that is something that people have wanted me to do. That's something that I'm constantly reminding myself to do, so it would make sense to actually go and do it. So I'm going to finish the electric branches off camera, because once we start working on the non-electrified section, we'll be actually building more branch lines connected to that, so it would make sense to show you those rather than these ones. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, guys. So until tomorrow, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. Drop some comments down below for ideas for future episodes. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.